Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Erin Foley, coach, speaker, mindset ninja, here to help you feel amazing in your career, work to your potential, be confident, really own your own voice in the workplace, all of those things. So today I want to talk to you about something that comes up, I would say, 85% of the time when I'm working with clients. And something that has come up over and over again in my own life. And that is this narrative that we tell ourselves that we are behind. And people really feel this in their careers. I'm behind because, and you have a very specific narrative for why you feel behind in your particular career. Maybe you feel like you should be making more money. Maybe you feel like you should be further along. Maybe you feel like you should have a master's degree or a PhD. You should have gone back to school. Maybe it's because you feel like you should have changed careers. Maybe it's because you started a business and you feel like you should be further along in that. Whatever it is, this is such a strong story that we tell ourselves. And here's the tricky thing about it. First of all, we're telling ourselves a story about being behind. And if we're talking about being behind, like, we can kind of think about it as some kind of race where there's a destination and there's all these specific milestones we're supposed to reach. And the weird thing about that is that all of these milestones and the order in which we're told we're supposed to reach them is 100% made up. Like, made up. It is not objective. It is culturally based. It's based on other people's behavior, humans' behavior over time. It changes with different generations. And so we have in our brains this timeline based on where we grew up, working, middle, upper class, the expectations that were around us, what people are doing around us. We have this timeline and this feeling of this is equated with progress and this is equated with not progressing. And it's all made up. You could live somewhere that told you the number of kids that you had is equated with how much you've progressed through your life. You could live in a place that told you the amount of enlightenment you experienced, like spiritual enlightenment is equated with how much you've progressed. You live in the United States of America, or probably another Western country if you're listening to this, and you may have the narrative that money and job title or status is equated with how much you've progressed. So the first thing I want to tell you is this shit is made up. The timeline is made up. And what's interesting is that these milestones do not feel the same for everybody. And many, many, many people will build their lives based on these milestones and find that when they reach them, they feel a sense of emptiness. It didn't do what they thought it was going to do. It didn't make them feel like enough. It didn't complete their life in any way. And that's because the milestones themselves are made up, they're external, and they don't actually change how we feel. So the narrative doesn't serve you for a couple of reasons. One is that when we are focused on this timeline, this external timeline that maybe you got from your parents, from the culture, from watching how other people are living your life, what ends up happening to a lot of people is they start making decisions for the trajectory of their life disconnected from themselves. So maybe I value freedom and connection to the content as 1 and 2 in my career and 3 as money. But maybe the trajectory, the timeline, the milestones that I'm told I'm supposed to accomplish have money first. And so I start making decisions based on the financial, portion of a job or a job title. And then I get into that job and it feels like disconnected from my values. So what ends up happening is you start to make decisions based on these generic values that we're told you should value these things and you should make decisions based on this order, and this equals progress and this equals no progress. Versus deciding for yourself, what are the things you value most for your life, for your career, for your relationship, and how can you measure your progress towards you prioritizing those values? Things can get really messy when we start to prioritize these external things that we may or may not feel connected to or attached to. So that's the first reason why I think it's really problematic to get attached to this narrative that we're behind. The second thing I want to say is that this narrative does not motivate us to move towards things that we want. We think it's going to. That's what's so tricky about this. The brain is so sneaky. So you feel you're sitting at home behind your computer, or you're sitting at your desk, or you're sitting wherever, and you have this sense like, I'm behind, everybody else is doing better than me, everyone's ahead of me. It makes you feel shitty, right? It makes you feel defeated, makes you feel like a failure, and what you think is that this is going to motivate me into creating the life I want, making changes that I want, moving towards goals that I want. The truth is, it doesn't do that. What it actually does is it actually creates procrastination, avoidance. It creates buffering, where we drink, eat, shop, watch TV, all of the things to give us immediate pleasure because we're feeling a sense of suffering from this belief, I'm behind, that makes us feel terrible, and we don't want to have that sensation of feeling terrible, of feeling like a failure, so we look for all these other ways to feel better. So it is an unproductive way to motivate you, to make you feel good, to move you towards the goals that you want. So I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't make progress in your life or you shouldn't move towards what you want for your life. But it's really important that you get clear on what progress actually means. I come from the assumption that I am always progressing, whether or not that looks like a timeline that the culture, my family, the expectations that I grew up having, whether it looks like what that is or not, doesn't matter. I am always believing I am progressing. I'm progressing emotionally. I'm learning new skills no matter what I'm doing. Even my entire career change, letting go of my job as a professor, starting all over as a coach and a speaker, all the things I had to learn in that. None of these different stages were a waste. Everything gave me new skills, gave me emotional evolvement. It was a progression in some way, whether or not it looks like some external timeline, right? It's my timeline. Here's what I want you to consider. I want you to consider what it would feel like if you believed right now, everything in my life is perfect timing. Everything in my life is perfect timing right now. Because here's the crazy thing about it. When you really let yourself believe that, everything in my life is perfect timing. Whatever job you're in, whatever pay rate you have, whatever promotion you have or don't have, everything is perfect timing. You'll notice that you are able to feel a sense of gratitude and calm for the space you're in right now. And counterintuitive to what you might think, believing that everything in your life is perfect timing right now is actually way more motivating in making decisions about what you would like next for your life. What promotion do I want to move towards? What changes do I want to make to my life, to my career? How do I want to evolve? When you're in a space of calm confidence with where you are right now, you're way more motivated about where you're going to go. The shame and the guilt and blaming yourself and telling yourself you're behind or telling yourself you've made all of the wrong decisions, which I'm going to do another video for you all on decisions, because this is another place that really trips people up, past decisions. But I just really want you to focus on the fact that this old story that you're behind, it's not true. The timelines are made up. We are always progressing. You are always progressing, and everything in your life is perfect timing. And I'm here to tell you that if you practice believing that, looking for evidence for that, you're going to feel so much better about the life that you're in right now, and you are going to feel so much more motivated to move towards things that you want for your life next. So that is the story I want you to replace today. You are not behind, my friends. You are in perfect timing everywhere in your life. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back. Please feel free to check out my programs, my free trainings on erinmfoley.com, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.